There is a pivotal moment that redefines everything. It isn't when you raise your voice, nor is it when you fight with greater ferocity. It is not found in begging, explaining, or desperately trying to prove your worth. The true turning point is the moment you turn your back and walk away in profound silence. In that instant, the world shifts. Their eyes widen. The entire game is changed forever. You see, most people spend their lives clamoring to be seen, struggling to be heard, and negotiating to be valued. They cling, they chase, and they grovel for scraps of attention like starving dogs begging at a dinner table. And the world looks upon them with silent contempt. But you, the one who masters the art of walking away, you become something else entirely. You become the unsettling question that echoes in the silence of 3 a.m. You become the ghost that occupies their every waking thought. Machiavelli understood this principle 5 centuries ago. Power is not given to those who ask for it, it flows to those who can thrive without it. When you walk away, you are broadcasting to the universe that your completeness comes from within, needing nothing and no one. That is the most formidable state a person can achieve. That is when they begin to chase you. This is the psychology of absence. Let me reveal something about the human mind that few will ever grasp. The mind does not crave what it possesses. It is wired to yearn for what lies just beyond its reach. This isn't an opinion or a philosophical musing. This is the cold, hard wiring of human psychology. When you are constantly present, available, and accessible, you become part of the furniture. You fade into the background noise. You become an obstacle they step over on their way to pursue something, or someone, else. But the moment you vanish, a switch flips inside their brain. Suddenly, you are no longer ordinary. Suddenly, you are a mystery. You are the missing piece of the puzzle they cannot stop trying to solve. This is the psychology of absence, and it is more potent than any words you could ever speak. Machiavelli wrote that men desire what they cannot have and despise what is freely offered. He wasn't guessing, he was observing the brutal, unchangeable mechanics of human nature. When you remove yourself from someone's life, you create a vacuum. The human mind abhors a vacuum. It rushes to fill that empty space with imagination, with memory, with piercing regret. They begin to replay every conversation, dissecting your words for hidden meanings. They start to wonder what they overlooked. They construct a version of you in their mind that is far more powerful and alluring than the person they ignored when you were standing right in front of them. This is not manipulation. It is simply understanding the fundamental rules of a game that everyone is already playing, whether they admit it or not. Your absence doesn't make them forget you. Your absence forces them to obsess over you. It compels them to confront your value because they can no longer take it for granted. The few who grasp this truth navigate life with a quiet power that others find inexplicable. And now, you are beginning to understand it, too. This is the Machiavellian truth about value. Let me burn a principle into your mind that will forever alter your perception of reality. Your value is never determined by what you offer. It is determined by how difficult you are to obtain. This is the truth that separates the powerful from the desperate. You can be the most intelligent, loyal, and capable person in any room. But if you hand yourself over without reservation, if you make yourself available at a moment's notice, if you answer every message within seconds, you have just announced to the world that your time is worthless. And the world will treat you accordingly. Machiavelli observed the courts of princes and the intricate schemes of kings. He watched men of immense talent get discarded like refuse, while men of lesser ability rose to untouchable heights. The difference was never about skill, it was about positioning. The men who ascended understood that scarcity creates value. They knew that a prince who is too accessible becomes common, and that which is common is never truly respected. You must internalize this at the deepest level. You are not a commodity on a shelf, waiting to be chosen. You are a rare artifact, an experience that few will ever have the privilege to know. But here is the critical part: you cannot fake this. You cannot pretend to be scarce while secretly waiting by the phone. You must genuinely become someone whose life is so full, whose mission is so consuming, and whose standards are so high that your attention is, in fact, a prize. When you reach that state, you no longer need to play games. The game plays itself. They feel your value because it radiates from your indifference. They chase you because they sense that you could walk away at any moment and never look back. And that terrifies them. Now, listen carefully, because this is where most men fail. They believe that chasing is a sign of strength. They believe that relentless persistence is admirable. They believe that demonstrating how much they care will eventually win someone over. This is a lie society has fed you since childhood. The truth is far colder. Pursuit is surrender. The moment you begin to chase, you cede all your power. You announce to the other person that they are the prize and you are the beggar. And in the entire history of human nature, no one has ever truly respected a beggar. Machiavelli warned that a man who makes himself too eager will be despised. Not just ignored, despised. There is something in our psychology that recoils from desperation. When you chase, you trigger their contempt. When you pursue relentlessly, you confirm in their mind that you have no other options, no other sources of value, and no other purpose beyond securing their approval. You become small in their eyes. You become controllable. You become safe. And safety is the death of attraction, the death of respect, and the death of power. Now, contrast this with the man who withdraws. He doesn't beg. He doesn't explain. He doesn't send a long, pleading message asking what went wrong. He simply vanishes. In that silence, he becomes dangerous. He becomes unpredictable. He becomes the one thing the human mind cannot resist, an unanswered question. The weak man chases and loses everything. The powerful man walks away and gains more than he ever thought possible. This isn't cruelty, it is clarity. You must decide, right now, which man you will be. The one who spends his life running after others, or the one who moves so powerfully in his own direction that others have no choice but to follow in his wake. There is a weapon more lethal than any argument, more devastating than any confrontation. That weapon is distance. Cold, calculated, deliberate distance. When you master this, you become untouchable. Most people react emotionally. When someone disrespects them, they explode. When someone ignores them, they chase harder. When someone undervalues them, they work overtime to prove their worth. This is the behavior of the weak. The Machiavellian mind operates on a different plane. It does not react, it calculates. It understands that emotional outbursts hand control of your state to others. But distance, true psychological distance, puts you firmly back in the seat of power. When you create distance, you force the other person to sit alone with the consequences of their actions. There is no argument for them to win. There is no drama for them to feed on. There is only your deafening silence. And in that silence, their own mind becomes their enemy. They begin to question themselves. They begin to wonder if they pushed too far. They begin to feel the cold, sharp absence of someone who simply removed themselves, without anger, without bitterness, without a single word of explanation. This is calculated warfare. You are not punishing them with your distance. You are simply refusing to participate in a game where you are not valued. And that refusal is more powerful than any protest you could ever voice. Machiavelli taught that a wise prince never acts out of emotion, he acts out of strategy. Your distance must be the same. It is not born from hurt, it is born from an unshakable sense of self-respect. It is the cold, logical recognition that your time and energy are finite resources, and you refuse to invest them where there is no return. When you master the calculation of distance, you stop losing. You stop begging. You stop explaining. You simply move in silence, and the world watches in awe. Here is the darkest truth about human nature: people do not obsess over what they have. They obsess over what they have lost. When you walk away, you do not simply leave, you plant a seed in their mind that will not stop growing. At first, they will rationalize it. They will tell themselves they don't care. They will convince themselves that you were replaceable, that your absence is a relief. But as the days bleed into weeks and the silence stretches on, something begins to shift. They will find themselves thinking about you at random moments. A song on the radio will remind them of your voice. An empty chair will remind them of your presence. A quiet evening will magnify the absence of the attention you once gave so freely, an attention they can no longer access. This is the obsession you create. You do not beg for space in their thoughts, you seize it by force through your absence. Machiavelli knew that men fight hardest to obtain the things they fear losing most. When you were always available, they had nothing to fear. But now that you are gone, a creeping fear sets in. Fear that they misjudged you. Fear that they will never find someone who made them feel the way you did. Fear that you are out there thriving while they are left in the wreckage of their own arrogance. This fear metastasizes into obsession. They will check on you from a distance. They will ask mutual friends how you are doing. They will replay old conversations, searching for clues they missed. And the less you respond, the deeper the obsession grows. This is not magic. This is the cold architecture of the human psyche. You have become the unfinished chapter in their story, the question that was never answered. And humans cannot rest until they find closure. But you will never give it to them. Your silence is your power. Your absence is your revenge. And their obsession is the final proof that you were never the one who lost. Now, I must warn you where most men fail. They fail at the very moment victory is within their grasp. They walk away. They create the distance. They feel the power shifting in their direction. And then, with one fatal mistake, they destroy everything. They go back. They see a message, and their heart races. They hear a whisper of interest, and they come running back like a dog to its owner. They cannot resist the pull because, in their minds, they never truly left. Their body walked away, but their spirit remained chained to the outcome. This is the mistake most men make. They treat walking away as a tactic instead of a transformation. They use absence as a trick to get attention rather than as a declaration of their own intrinsic value. And the moment the other person senses this, that it was all a ploy, all the power you built evaporates. You become a joke. You become predictable. You become the desperate man pretending to be strong. Machiavelli warned that one must commit fully to a path or not take it at all. Half measures breed contempt. If you walk away, you must be prepared to never return. You must reach a place within yourself where their response, or lack thereof, no longer matters. Not because you are pretending, but because you have genuinely moved forward. This is the step most men cannot take. They are addicted to the outcome. They walk away secretly hoping to be chased. And that very hope is the anchor that keeps them weak. The truly powerful man walks away with no expectations. He isn't checking his phone for a message. He isn't stalking their social media for signs of regret. He is simply continuing to build his life, his mission, his empire. If they return, he will evaluate them from a position of absolute strength. If they don't, he has lost nothing, because his worth was never dependent on them in the first place. This is the difference between the amateur and the master. The amateur plays games. The master has transcended the game entirely. You must burn this lesson into your soul. Walking away means nothing if you are still mentally kneeling at their feet. The exit must be complete. The severance must be total. Only then will you taste the true power that most men will never know. Now we arrive at the very core of this philosophy. The reason you are here, the reason these words resonate deep within you, is that you aspire to become untouchable. Not arrogant, not cold for the sake of cruelty, but so profoundly grounded in your own power that nothing and no one outside of you can shake your foundation. This is the highest level of the game, and it requires more than mere strategy. It demands a complete reconstruction of who you are. Most men build their identity on a bedrock of external validation. They feel strong when others approve of them and weak when others withdraw. Their entire emotional state is a puppet, and they willingly handed the strings to the world. The untouchable man has cut those strings. He has realized a truth that changes everything. His value does not come from how others treat him, his value comes from the standard he holds for himself. When you reach this level, rejection becomes meaningless. Not because you no longer feel it, but because it cannot penetrate the fortress you have built within. If someone leaves your life, you wish them well and continue moving forward. If someone disrespects you, you remove them from your orbit without hatred and continue moving forward. If someone fails to recognize your worth, you understand that this is a reflection of their blindness, not your deficiency, and you continue moving forward. This is what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of the prince who relies on himself above all others. External alliances can crumble. Public favor can vanish overnight. But the man who has built an unshakable internal kingdom can lose everything and still stand tall, because his power was never borrowed in the first place. Becoming untouchable is not about suppressing your emotions, it is about mastering them. It is about feeling the sting of pain but not being controlled by it. It is about experiencing rejection but not allowing it to define you. It is about wanting connection but never needing it so desperately that you would abandon yourself to obtain it. This is the cold, quiet strength that others can sense but never fully articulate. When you walk into a room as an untouchable man, people feel it. They don't know why, but they treat you differently. They offer you respect without being asked. They are drawn to you without being invited. They sense that you are operating on a level they have not yet reached. And that mystery, that unshakable presence, that complete independence from their approval, this is what makes you unforgettable. You are no longer playing their game. You have become the game itself. And once you reach this place, there is no going back. You will never again beg for what you can create within yourself. There is a moment that will come. It doesn't arrive on your schedule. It doesn't appear while you are watching for it. It arrives only after you have truly, completely released the need for it. This is the moment they finally realize your worth, and it will hit them like a freight train in the dead of night. At first, they believed they could live without you. They told themselves you were replaceable. They convinced themselves that your absence was a relief, that they had somehow won by letting you go. But reality has a brutal way of crushing delusion. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. And slowly, the truth begins to seep through the cracks of their denial. They start to notice that no one else listens to them the way you did. No one challenges them the way you did. No one makes them feel seen the way you did. The people they replaced you with feel shallow, predictable, and empty. And in that emptiness, the ghost of your presence grows louder. This is when the regret begins. It starts as a whisper, a fleeting thought in the back of their mind. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I underestimated them. Maybe I let go of something I will never find again. That whisper will become a roar. They will begin to stalk your progress from a distance. They see you thriving. They see you building. They see you becoming the very person they never believed you could be. And it burns. It burns because they once had full access to you. They had a seat at your table, and they chose to walk away. Now, the table is full, and their chair is gone forever. Machiavelli observed that men never appreciate what they possess until it is taken from them. This is not bitterness, this is the fundamental architecture of human desire. We are wired to recognize value primarily through loss. And your absence has become the mirror that forces them to confront everything they took for granted. But here is where you must remain cold. Here is where your power is truly tested. When they come crawling back, and they often will, you must not crumble. You must not abandon the empire you have built just because they finally see what was always there. The version of you they ignored is gone. The version of you that begged for scraps is dead. The man who stands before them now is someone they do not recognize, someone stronger, someone unreachable. You will evaluate their return with cold logic, not emotion. You will ask yourself if they deserve access to the man you have become. And if the answer is no, you will close the door without a trace of guilt. Because the man who walks away and never looks back is the man who can never be controlled again. Their realization of your worth is not your prize. Your prize is the man you became while they were too blind to see. We have arrived at the final law. This is not an end, but the beginning of the man you are about to become. Everything you have heard has been preparation for a single, overarching principle. The law that separates the forgotten from the unforgettable, the weak from the untouchable, the ordinary from the legendary. Walk away and never look back. This is not a suggestion. It is not a strategy to be deployed when convenient. It is a way of life. It is the cold, unshakable commitment to your own path, regardless of who chooses to walk beside you. The world will test you. People will mistake your kindness for weakness. They will assume your patience is desperation. They will push your boundaries to see just how much you will tolerate. And in those moments, you will have a choice. You can stay and negotiate for a respect that should have been freely given. Or you can turn, walk, and never look back. The man who masters this law becomes invincible to manipulation. Threats mean nothing to him, because he is always willing to leave. Guilt trips mean nothing, because he knows his worth is not defined by those who fail to see it. The fear of being alone means nothing, because he has discovered that solitude is the birthplace of strength. Machiavelli taught that a prince must be willing to be feared rather than loved if he cannot be both. This is not about cruelty. This is about clarity. When you walk away without looking back, you are declaring that your self-respect is non-negotiable. You are announcing to the universe that you would rather stand alone in your power than kneel in the company of those who diminish you. And the universe respects this. It has no choice. The people you leave behind will feel the crushing weight of your absence. They will wonder how you found the strength to do what they could never do. They will replay the moment you left, asking themselves why they weren't enough to make you stay. But you will not be there to answer. You will be miles ahead, building the life they will only ever hear about from a distance. This is your future, should you commit to this law. Not a future of revenge or bitterness, but one of complete and total freedom. The freedom to choose who deserves your presence. The freedom to remove yourself from anything that does not serve your growth. The freedom to walk through life knowing that you are not dependent on any single person, opportunity, or outcome. You are the source of your own power. And that power can never be taken, because it was never given to you by anyone but yourself. Carry this knowledge with you, not as mere words, but as a code etched into your very being. The next time someone undervalues you, you will not argue. You will not explain. You will not beg. You will simply remember this moment. And you will walk.